The United States remains an indispensable and fully committed ally in NATO, but the burdens must be shared, and in response to increased threats in Europe, Europe must step up. That's what allies committed to last year in The Hague, and what this year in Ankara we are delivering. European and Canadian allies are spending $140 billion this year more on defence than the year before, a rise of 20%. And in Ankara, we and allies have together pledged €70 billion in support to Ukraine in 2026 and at least equivalent levels in 2027, so that Ukraine is in the best possible position to negotiate a just and lasting peace. On Monday night, the House will be aware that despite having made a clear commitment that the Strait of Hormuz would be reopened, Iran attacked 3 commercial ships close to the Omani coast. Those attacks are a breach of their memorandum of understanding, but they are also a violation of Omani sovereignty and a contravention of the law of the sea. These are international shipping routes. Commercial shipping has a right to pass, so the United Kingdom condemns unequivocally this recent Iranian attacks on commercial shipping, including Saudi and Qatari vessels. No country has the right to hijack international shipping or to hold the global economy hostage. So we also condemn, in the strongest terms, the Iranian attacks on sites in Bahrain and Kuwait, and we stand in solidarity with our partners across the region. Iran must halt these attacks on international shipping, support the reopening of the Strait, and return to de-escalation and diplomacy. Madam Deputy Speaker, the UK stands ready to support a return to talks because Iran must never be able to develop a nuclear weapon, and we need the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. And that is why, alongside France, the UK has established a multilateral maritime mission to support the demining of the Strait, verification and reassurance to shipping, and ultimately to support the global economy and ease the cost of living back home. First of all, in terms of the areas of agreement and disagreement, of course, there will be areas where we continue to disagree with the President of the United States, where we have said so, including our continued support for the sovereignty of Greenland and Denmark, which we have always made clear. But that's also why we worked in NATO and now with the support of the United States for the new Arctic Sentry within NATO. Well, I can certainly tell the honourable member that we support what I think was a very positive bilateral discussions between President Trump and President Zelensky, and included a range of support that they discussed, and also the progress that Ukraine is making and the strength that Ukraine has shown. I don't have further details on the next steps, but we did strongly welcome the commitment that the US made and that the US President made in terms of the licenses and Patriot missiles, but I don't have the details for the House. I also raised directly with our allies the urgency of sounding the alarm on El Obeid in Sudan, because I am deeply fearful that this Sudanese city is at risk of mass bloodshed and civilian casualties, with signs of plan for an assault by advancing rapid support forces that are already encircling the city, as they cut off supply routes and unleash repeated drone attacks on fuel and infrastructure and storage sites, and strikes that have already killed civilians and humanitarian workers. An estimated 500,000 civilians are now at risk, many of them women and girls, who have already carried an intolerable burden throughout this 3-year conflict. And last year, El Fasher became the site of unspeakable violence and suffering, atrocities that the UN's fact-finding mission concluded bore the hallmarks of genocide. The world must not fail the people of Sudan again. So last week, the UK convened an urgent debate at the Human Rights Council. The UK penned resolution condemning the atrocities, calling for further urgent fact-finding inquiry, and urging the RSF to comply with international law and halt this attack, urging both the RSF and the SAF to accept proposals that have been put forward for a truce. And we are calling for an end to the external support and arms flows from other countries that are extending this conflict and fueling this horrendous suffering.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.